Hello, everybody. We're live. Welcome to Social Media and AI Shortcuts. I'm Madeline Sklar. I host this gathering every week so we can come together and talk about the latest things I've uncovered in social media and AI. And I've got some really exciting updates to share today, some smart shortcuts that I think are going to help you just stay ahead in this very fast-moving digital world we live in. Kicking things off, I'm going to first talk about one of the most underrated AI tools out there, and that's Notebook LM. And they just rolled out the ability to share notebooks publicly using this simple link, very much like as if you're in Google Drive. And we have to remember Notebook LM is a Google product. So at first I was like, oh, I feel like I'm in Google Drive. You'll see because I'm going to show it to you. And this makes collaboration way easier, opens up so many more possibilities for using AI in your content workflow. I've also got some platform updates to run through with social media stuff. We've got Instagram. They're now supporting 3x5 images, finally. So no more awkward cropping when you're going from your images on your phone, your photos on your phone to Instagram to post. They've also added voice message transcription in the DMs and the being able to increase the audio message limit. So that's interesting. And also, TikTok just dropped the requirement to live stream. Before, you had to have at least 1,000 followers before you could start live streaming, and they've moved it down to 600. So that's pretty exciting to know. I know a lot of people have been waiting to hit that number so they can start live streaming over on TikTok. Plus, if you've ever struggled to get ChatGPT to sound like you, we're going to talk about a very simple trick from my good friend Todd Giantasio, who is here with us today. We're going to walk you through how to match AI with your exact tone and style. It's actually a very simple tip, but something that I bet many of you have not even thought about or tried yet. So we're going to show that to you. This tip is so awesome for content creators like many of us, writers, and anyone who wants to have their AI assistant feel more like talk more and have that tone more like you. And also, I'm going to show you something really cool for you YouTube creators out there. vidIQ just shared a video. It's a sneak peek of a big update that's coming to YouTube that could really change the game. So we're going to talk about that a little later, what it is and why it matters, and what to keep an eye on next. So if you're new here, hello, I'm Madeline. I've been in digital marketing for, oh my gosh, nearly 30 years. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. I'm pretty old now. I've been teaching social media for the last 20 years, and I help business owners and entrepreneurs simplify all this social media and AI stuff. There's so much information out there. We get information overload. And so I just try to make things simpler and easier for you. And what we're going to do is bring up my guests who are here with me today to come and chat. Barb, who's one of our regulars, is here every week, and I got Todd Giantasio. Y'all are both muted, so be sure to unmute. And I'm so glad y'all are here with me to come hang out and look at all this stuff I've uncovered. And of course, Todd, you with your really cool tip that I can't wait to show off. So how are y'all doing
I love
today?
talking about this stuff. I love hearing you talk about it. You're great. Your insights are invaluable, and the way you're able to kind of keep up and simplify to share all the insights and help the people who don't geek out every day like you and I do.
Right.
It's a real superpower that you have. So keep
Thank
doing the good work.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Barb, always great having you because you always have such interesting thoughts to share on everything we talk about. You're OG in the biz, and it's always great having you here. So thank y'all both. Todd, you and I go way back. We met years ago through a Lewis Howes programs we had both signed up for, and way back. I don't remember. It was so long. What year was that? Like,
I don't know. I was gonna go and look at the year, but by the time I got to my desk, I had to jump on
I
with
think
you.
2015 or
Yeah, I
2016,
want to say
probably
around
10
then. I'm
years
trying. My
ago.
daughter was born in 2016, so I think it was before
I
that.
think it was. I
Yeah,
think it was. So yeah, about 10, gosh, that was 10 years ago.
yeah,
Wow. Long time ago. But yeah, we
yeah.
met through that, and it was so cool because one of the first things we had to do in that program was to build a little mini mastermind of other group members, and you, me, and a few others like instantly just bonded through a Facebook group, and like
Hmm.
let's all chat and be friends. And it's just amazing, like our friendship over the years. And you do a lot in the digital marketing space. Why don't you tell everybody just real briefly about what all you do in the digital marketing space?
Yeah, well, first, before I even say that, I want to say that the story you just showed, like we've been, good friends for 10 years now, and being out into finding communities and pockets of people, and even in the communities, the pockets in the communities is so powerful. And that's why I also love like the community that you've put together that people can join, because, you do these weekly lives, which are awesome, but then you also have this ongoing discussion throughout the week talking about this stuff and sharing more behind the scenes and getting more in depth. So if you guys are looking for a community of good people, join Madeline's, because it's awesome. I highly recommend it. So get in there, social media and AI shortcuts. I'm not being paid to say that. I am genuinely recommending it as a great
I
resource.
appreciate it.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, actually, I always get the dates a little mixed up, but I think tomorrow is actually my 14-year anniversary of starting my company, Tresnick Media. It's either tomorrow or next Friday. I always forget, but yeah. So I started Tresnick Media in 2011 because I was working in a corporate job and doing digital marketing, building websites and social media as it was, evolving at the time, and was at a huge corporation, and just like, it was fine, but it was, typical cog in a machine, and I wanted to get out and really like feel the impact of the work I was doing. And so I left there, started Tresnick Media to work with, mission driven, passionate founders and small business owners to, at that time it was much more technical, so they needed a lot more hands-on support. And over the years I've really evolved into like doing it for the people who need the help and can, support the budget for that kind of thing, but really more so helping to coach and guide founders on using today's tools, because they are so easy that you don't need to be spending the, tens of thousands of dollars on marketing agencies in most cases anymore. And so I've really found a passion in working and coaching with the business owners on becoming the experts themselves that just build their own platform to publish on and share and get their expert insights out to the world, and try to shine a light through all this AI slop that people put out and get real good information out into the world.
Yeah, you're very good at that, and I always love getting your newsletters, seeing your posts on social media. You're very active on social media. You been interviewing people for you actually had me on too. Has that been
Yep.
launched? Your new
Not, yeah, that's coming
podcast?
out this month. Yeah. So what
Oh,
leaders
cool.
need to know. And so that's yeah, it's a mini series. It'll be on YouTube and all that stuff. I did about a dozen interviews with people from all different areas of business to help business owners understand things like you came on to talk about social media and AI. I had our mutual friend Cami came on to talk about what PR is like in today's world. But then I also had I had an attorney come on to talk about what you need to know about using ChatGPT and AI in your business, so that like, are you protected? Is your stuff protected? And all that kind of stuff. And then had some high performance coaches come on to talk about mindset, some about leadership and hiring and training. And so all different areas of business. So that mini series, What Leaders Need to Know, will be coming out this month in June. So follow me at It's Todd G to check out those announcements and check out the episodes. They're really awesome.
I can't wait for that to come out because I think it's such an excellent idea for a podcast, and I was thrilled when you invited me to come on. We had
Yeah.
such a great chat. Looking forward to that. Maybe we'll get you back on after it's been launched and, play some clips from it or something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And, yeah, we'll definitely make that arrangement. Well, and Barb, why don't you just real quickly, briefly tell everybody a little bit about you?
Oh, geez. Thursday is my heaviest day in live streaming. I actually joined a new Facebook group this last week called Pioneers of Live Streaming, and we're all going to the core. When was your first time, and putting up dates of when each live streaming resource started. And people got a lot of shock because we were actually doing things back in the 1990s before this all came about. And I am now back in my office that I had back in those days. And I even have some of the paraphernalia they sold us to be able to achieve that process. But the bottom line is I'm a really OG community manager going clear back to the BBS days. And most of my clientele has come from the hot air ballooning community or industry, because a lot of them are tied into technology, into real estate, securities, and all of that. So I get to satisfy all my passions just by working in that industry. And of course, I'm based in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the home of the world's most spectacular ballooning event.
For
That's
sure.
so cool.
That is cool. That's awesome. Well, I always appreciate you. I mean, you and I have known each other a long time, going all the way back to my Go Girls music community, which was decades ago. And I just love, like, it really shows the power of community. Like when you can make these connections with people, like with my connection with both of you here, through communities, and how we still are connected all these years later. And it's powerful. As a matter of fact, since you brought up Cami, my good friend Kimmy Hoysa, her and I mean, we haven't really said a lot yet, but we've been working on a book. We're going to be putting a book out.
I heard some whispers about that behind closed doors.
We're hoping to do it this year, but we've been working on this a long time. But for those that don't know, me and my friend Cami used to do a podcast called Communities That Convert, talking all about online communities, in-person communities, like just building communities, because we both have decades of experience with it. And we had so much fun doing the podcast. We did it for years. And then it was probably during the pandemic time where, life kind of changed for everybody, and we kind of slowed it down, and we ended up stopping it. But we had so much amazing content. So we thought, let's kind of reboot this, but as a book. But actually, we're thinking about having like a companion podcast to go with it too. So her and I are always brainstorming cool ideas. So I can't wait we'll be talking about it more soon, but it's going to be really cool. We're really excited about this project. So for those that don't know, like Todd mentioned before, we do have a community over on Skool where we continue these discussions. So this is it. Skool.com is spelled with a K, Skool. If you've not signed up, sign up, because it's free. It's like a Facebook group, but better. And it's a way for us to continue the discussions past this 1 hour weekly chat. It's really cool because we have all kinds of conversations going on in here, and it's not overwhelming either. Like I make sure, like I don't post constantly. Like we don't want to overwhelm everybody, but just good information. And you might find this helpful. So definitely take a moment to go sign up. It's also in the ticker at the bottom, so you can easily access that site. So let's go through some of the top news that's been going on, because I want to make sure everybody's up to date on all these things I've uncovered. I just can't help it. I always geek out on all this stuff, and it's like, I got to share this with everybody. So y'all know I'm a fan of Notebook LM. We've talked about it quite a bit here. We were just talking recently about the new mobile app. They finally launched a mobile app version for iOS and Android, which I highly recommend. I've been really enjoying the mobile app version. And so what they announced this week is that they made it really easy to share your books inside of Notebook LM. And I was super impressed. Let me see if I make this video a little bit bigger on here so you can see it. So showing an example here at the top right, you'll see the share button, and it looks just like Google Drive. I had to remind myself, I'm like, oh, but Google does own them. So I was like, okay, that would make sense. So I was playing around with it as well to kind of just, see how it looked, because, when they did that video, they kind of zoomed in so quickly on the share button at the top. So I'm going to show you an example so that way you can kind of see it a little bit easier here. So, oh, is that the wrong screen? I think that's the wrong one. Let me, this is real time, y'all. So y'all have to bear with me a moment as I actually pull up the thing I want to show you. So I'm going to pull up one of my notebooks in here. Okay, so we're in Notebook LM. So this is just one of mine that I played around with, where I actually put in the URL of a video, and I just wanted it to kind of talk about it with me. And then of course we love that audio overview. So when you're looking on your notebook at the top right up here, you're going to see the share button way up here. So when I click that share button, just like Google Drive, you can add people, you can keep it restricted, only people you give the access, or you can make it public, like anyone with the link. So you can just open it up that way, and that way you just share the link, but you can just keep it restricted and only people you invite. So a cool new feature. I definitely recommend people checking that out, because this is, I think it's an underutilized AI tool. Todd, do you like Notebook LM? I know you're all about ChatGPT. I love ChatGPT. Yeah. Notebook LM is really cool, and they keep adding features.
This is my take on all the three kind of major ChatGPT, Google Notebook, and Claude, is that I think that they can, if you focus on being really great at them, they will be really great for you. And
Yeah.
there's so much new stuff, as you know, that like I've just decided as a shiny object block that like, okay, those are cool. I don't not recommend them. However, I've played around. This is awesome, but I've already become so proficient, and my workflows are so down in ChatGPT that that's where I spend most of my time. So that's kind of like my take, where I don't have anything against it, and people who love it and use it, like I'm happy for them. I don't try and dissuade anybody from using them. Like I don't have any red flags. I like it. I think they're all great tools, and they're all so phenomenal that we're lucky to be in a world right now with this at our disposal. And I think, as soon as you play around and get a knack for it, and whichever one clicks with you the most, like that's the one you go with, right?
Right. Although the thing is about Notebook LM, it is quite a bit different than ChatGPT. When ChatGPT came out, we're like, oh my gosh, I can ask it questions and it can work with me on projects and it can brainstorm. I love it for brainstorming.
Yeah.
I love the mobile app, and I just talk to it like a person and we just brainstorm. I'll be out walking my dog and I'm like, I have this idea, and we just talk it out. And I love that.
Yeah.
But then Notebook LM comes out, and it was a bit different, where I know they've changed it now where you can actually put in questions and have it do stuff for you. But initially it was, you put sources in. It's like, well, that's kind of different, but interesting. Like, okay.
Well, so see, this is where it's like, depends on how you use them, because that's how I use ChatGPT. I give it the source material, right? Like, and we'll get into that with the trick later. That's a little open loop, right? So like, it's maybe more like that type of thing is more prominent of a use case in Google versus ChatGPT. And so then it just becomes on like, how do you use it, and in what cases? Because I do the same thing in ChatGPT. It's just not as like obvious of a feature and use case, I guess.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I mean, I do that in ChatGPT a lot too. But then if it's going to be like websites, like URLs, I'll sometimes do Perplexity, because Perplexity is so good.
I do.
For
if I'm doing something like that's really a research-based searching, like, hey, check all these things out, Perplexity is where I go for that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I just kind of, depending on what I'm trying to do, what I like about Notebook LM though is that I can have that little podcast audio version.
Yeah, that is
which
cool.
is super cool, because I can feed it the sources and go grab that podcast version and then listen to it on the go. And that's been really cool too.
Yeah.
So it is interesting, and you make such a good point. It really depends on what you're trying to do and which tool you connect with the most. Bez made it over. Hey, Bez, good to see you.
What's up, Bez?
Hello. Good to see you guys too.
While we're on this podcast, the notebook podcast thing and the sharing, now that this is available in the news that you just shared there, one of my guests on the upcoming What Leaders Need to Know show, we talked about using Notebook LLM for training new hires. And one of those things was creating an internal to your company podcast based on your SOPs and missions and all that stuff, and turning it into a fun and interactive podcast. So there's a quick tip on like using that as a feature if you have a team, where it's like no one wants to read an employee handbook and all that kind of stuff. It's like, but all of a sudden, if Notebook LLM can make it into like this fun conversational podcast, and you add some personality into the into how it's delivered and that kind of thing. Like now all of a sudden you have an easy way for people to be engaged with becoming part of your company culture and learning how to do their jobs better. So.
And with that new feature, you can interact with the audio when you're listening to it, which was another cool feature that I talked about here a while back. So that is such an excellent idea. This is why I host this each week, because I come across the cool stuff for us to look at and talk about. But now you're like, that gives me an interesting view that I wasn't thinking about before. And hopefully that's a good takeaway for people that are tuning in today, whether you're here live or watching the replay. Let me go through just quickly some Instagram news that I came across. So Instagram is finally allowing the 3x4 support for your images, because when you upload an image from your phone to Instagram, it's always kind of cropping it a bit and changing it, and they're fine. I don't know why this took them this long to do, but it's finally going to support that, which to me is like, well, why didn't they do that before? I don't use Instagram a lot these days, but Todd, I know you're big with Instagram. Any thoughts on this new update?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like a no-brainer, and it's probably one of those things that's like been on their list forever, but just didn't get prioritized. Where it's like everybody's got these lists of things that they're like, I know this has to get done. It's like, obviously I have to do this thing, but like these other things are more important right now. I imagine it just falls into that bucket. We
Yeah.
forget that like a lot, like these companies are have regular employees just like regular humans managing things, where it's like, man, they got a long list of stuff that's important and takes a lot of work, and sometimes the easy things just like, how long has that, like, the light bulb been out in that room you never go in, that
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't even imagine how big their to-do list is.
Yeah.
Another thing Instagram just added is this new DM option. It includes voice clip transcription.
This is
So
huge.
yeah, that sounds interesting. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, for people who I have, first PSA, do not send voice notes to sell stuff to strangers. They're like the worst, right? Like that's like the standard like SDR internet marketing tactic is like, oh, let me send voice note because then they'll think it's a real person. Like, don't just like start spamming people with voice notes. But I do have friends and clients who their preferred method of sending me communications is to send me voice messages, and I hate receiving voice messages because then I gotta listen to them and like sit there waiting, and like I'm like, can I just 10x this or whatever, like, just give me the talking points here.
Yeah.
And then after you listen to it, then I'm like, okay, what did they say first that I need to respond? Like, I'm like, they said 3 things in there. What was the first thing they said? And so this is great to be able to like, okay, I can press play and like hear their tone and everything if I want to, or it just makes it easier for them to send it. But now I can like, okay, yeah, here's what they need from me.
Transcription.
Here's how I can respond back. So I think it's a huge thing to connect people who like it, to connect the two different communication modalities, right? Like some people prefer listening, some people don't. Like I like to read better. So
and see, a lot of times I prefer to. So I think it's huge. I use Slack a lot, and I love that they already have that in Slack.
Yeah.
So if normally I do listen to the audio, but sometimes I'm in a big rush or I'm multitasking. I'm like, let me just flip through the transcript real quick and make sure I don't miss anything. Yeah. And it's so invaluable. So I imagine for people that use Instagram regularly, like yourself, that's a great feature. Bez and Barb, do y'all use Instagram much? I think Rachel uses it a bit, but she's not here with us today. I don't remember if y'all are using Instagram much.
I do. I do mainly for personal. I'm trying to get more on the business side with it, but I got on Instagram before they sold it to Meta or Facebook, and I remember, it's just the pictures, and I can actually remember that far back, and it wasn't that far long ago.
Right.
But yeah, I use it and I like it. The reels, the pictures, and a lot of people from a younger generation of than me like to communicate via Instagram. Like they give me your IG instead of your phone number. It's like,
right.
Oh, okay. And I guess that's also a safety buffer, so you're not giving people your phone number. So if you think about that, they're in innovation and how people change behavior. There's also opportunities to even be more safe. And so I think, that's a win.
Yeah.
I just use it for ballooning. There's ballooning events. I mean,
I am so fascinated about this whole ballooning. I made a note to myself to look this up after we're done.
Thank you my gosh.
This on my radar.
Well, especially if you're in Texas, huh, Madeline? Texas and New Mexico are big. We're having
I'm on the totally opposite side. I'm up in New Jersey, so
you probably don't get any of the hot air balloons.
We have one big event in the summer.
Yep. Yeah.
So you're talking about hot air balloons, right, Barb?
Hot air and gas. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Hot air and gas balloons.
I mean,
in fact, it's a historic day for us. This is the first day of modern hot air ballooning. It's a hot air balloon day, and yesterday
congrats.
Yesterday was the day the Montgolfier brothers took their first rendition out into the square to see if it would go up. So
wow,
this is the time of year, so everybody's excited, and now with the younger generations, they're into competition ballooning, and Texas has got a lot of big hitters and ballooning competition.
No, interesting. Well, that's so cool.
So how does competition ballooning work?
Yeah.
It's that you would have to. I hope you're following me on Facebook. I mean,
Okay, I'll do
the
that.
kids have control over all that, but those balloons are shaped more like what would you call it? More of a oval shape, I guess.
Or is it like like a race, or are they like obstacle
Oh yeah,
courses, or like
they go. You have like a beanie that you have to hit on a target.
Oh, wow.
And it is quite competitive because
competitive ballooning, man? I love
yeah,
that.
and
going
that's
right
really
on
what
ESPN,
changed
the
the
Ocho.
game. It
And
is what changed it.
Madeline, I'm sorry for taking your show sideways. I know we
Yeah.
did 80s.
You
the other
always
day,
do.
and-
I love when you do the 80s and 90s. I'm like, now every week it's like, when is Bez going to throw something from the 80s or 90s in here?
Yeah, well, I was just going to tell him that I ordered my tambourine today for our party, Biz.
That's right. No, little Duran, the
Yeah.
reflex. You know?
There you go. We still got to like work on that live stream because it's such a great idea. So Todd Bess had come up with this idea. We had this whole side thing we ended up talking about for God, like 20 minutes, I think, with when you start a live stream calling back to the 80s, baby.
There
And
you go.
we're gonna have like show and tell and like all the good music
that'd
from
be
the
cool.
80s and even the 90s. And everybody in the live stream was like, yes, do this. And it was so much fun. That's a
Actually,
great
did they-
idea.
That'd be a good, that'd be good, like a special episode, you know.
Yeah, we're
for
thinking
the
about like just a
insiders.
separate kind of live stream,
Yeah.
like in the evening, like maybe a
Yeah,
Friday.
yeah.
I think we said like a Friday night sometime.
Friday
or-
night. Yeah. hmm
So we need to
Yeah.
try it and just see what people think, and maybe
What
we'll
would
make
be a
it.
signature drink for a Friday night, like back to the 80s show?
Oh shoot! I
Oh.
don't know.
What was a drink back? I mean, back then it was like simple stuff. Like it
Like
wasn't
Mai Tais were a biggie.
Or
way back
screwdrivers.
then, and screwdrivers,
screwdriver,
right?
rum and
And-
Coke. It was all in high school. It was the rum and Coke.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
the bottles in the soda machines, or and maybe that was
yeah.
the 70s. When I was turning in bottles, they
Yeah.
you
You
could
take
make
your bottles to the store.
a dime for a bottle, and then the aluminum came around, and then you just, when you're a little kid, you're trying to make some money because my parents didn't give me allowance. Being from a Latino household, they just allowed me to live. And that was it.
That was the allowance.
Like my friends get allowance. I like we allow you to live.
I didn't get an allowance either, so I totally understand. It was so different back then too. In the summer, it's like in the morning, you're like, bye, you're off, and you don't come back till it's dark. And it's like nobody cared back then. Parents they didn't know where we were. We didn't always know where we were.
Oh, they knew. They had their own internet. It was called the parent internet.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're on the other side of the neighborhood. By the time you got home, they knew what you had done.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That did happen to me a few times.
It's the backyard fence. Okay, we'll let you get
There
back
you
on
go.
your show.
Yeah, let's get back. Let's get because we still got a few more things.
On
but
topic, yeah.
I love when we have these little side chats. The only other thing that I wanted to share with we'll do YouTube next, but this came up that where somebody had saw that TikTok I don't know what language this is, but apparently they've now changed that 1,000 follower you had to reach to be able to start doing TikTok lives to now 600. So that's pretty darn cool because I don't use TikTok so much for my Madeline Sklar stuff, but for my other stuff with my Kratom Stories podcast, I use it a lot for that. And I was so frustrated in the beginning, like it took me a while before I could do the TikTok lives. And then finally, like I had enough followers so I could do it. But then so many other people would tell me like, yeah, I'm just waiting till I hit that number. And so I think it's great that they lowered it a bit, but we've been through that with like Facebook, YouTube. I mean, they all would have these parameters, like you had to have so many followers before you could go live. And it seems like a lot of them have relaxed that now. So I think this is a good thing that TikTok did that. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm sure people that are near 600 are going, yes, finally, I'll be able to do this. So because TikTok lives are really popular. People do all kinds of crazy things on TikTok lives. I mean, you'll see all kinds of wild, random things. But what I love about TikTok lives are the really creative small business owners that are using it in interesting ways. Like it'll be people that like package up candies and stuff, and that's like their business. But they put the camera on and they live stream it, and they're interactive. And then and you know, we know that the key is know, like, and trust, right? You got to get people to know you, like you, and trust you, and they'll buy from you. And what better way than turning on a camera and live streaming while you're working and you're doing, and most people will say, yeah, but what I do is boring. You'd be surprised how many people do not think is boring. I can't believe how many people now are doing like they're just packaging candy. It's so odd. Or people, another one is like when they make, like they have these tumblers, but they design them with like paints and stuff. So they'll have it like on this thing and it's spinning, and they're just talking to the camera and they're building community while they're working and doing this. And some of it's fascinating because I'll be like, I have no interest in this, but I love the communication they're doing, and they're building community through that. And people are getting to know, like, and trust them, and they're going to buy because of it. So
especially on stuff like candy bottles, like the low cost, like those like impulsive, like, oh, I'll spend 25, 50 bucks, you know, like those type of purchases. Like that's a fantastic way to show off your product, tell a story behind it, connect with your audience. Like that's a great use case for that stuff.
Well, Johnny Chocolate became famous that way through Periscope.
Oh my God.
Yes.
And he's
in Australia.
Third generation.
Yeah.
Third generation chocolatier. His family's Greek. And when people fly into Sydney, they get off the airport and they tell the cab driver or the Uber, take me to Johnny Chocolate. But he's more now of an influencer, and that's, you know, he does, if you go to his website, he's quite the personality, and he makes money that way too, you know, probably more. I don't know.
I've met him several times. He used to social media marketing world. Yeah, because he was part of the whole social media marketing world.
And Blab, when we were all back on Blab. Oh, it was big.
He was early on in the power of live streaming on Periscope when it was new, and he built an amazing community just by having the camera on while they're making their chocolates in their store. And it was and he has such a great personality, and the people in the store do too. And he constantly filmed, and it was amazing. I was just blown away.
So you know him?
Yeah.
Wow.
Des wants to get an autograph.
Yeah, I want some chocolate from Sydney.
It's good chocolate. He said he brought some once when I was in San Diego for the event. He gave us some. It was so good. So Bez, your friends here, Delabore? So
I got friends all over, you know. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate y'all live streaming to your social as well. We're right now on multiple LinkedIn's, YouTube's, and Facebooks. So we're broadcasting far and wide. Plus, the replay will be available when this is over, wherever you're watching it. But you can always go to my YouTube channel at Madeline Sklar as well. All right. We still, you know what? We might have to save the YouTube thing for next week. You know what? Why don't we go ahead and do the ChatGPT? I don't think we'll have time to do. Well, I think we'll have to save YouTube. There's always so much to talk about. Everything goes so fast, but it's all good. Sometimes this happens. It's like, we're going to share it. Because the YouTube thing I have is really good info, but it's not like something that's happening right this minute.
Oh, what a teaser. Make sure you subscribe.
Wait. Now you have to talk about it later. Yeah. We're going to make you go longer today.
I think this will make people want to come back next week. Well, let's do the ChatGPT thing, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is something cool with that's coming to YouTube. That's like, because I've been really focusing a lot on YouTube for my other project, my Creative Stories podcast stuff. And because I started zero like a couple of years ago, and I didn't do a whole lot with it at first, but then I slowly was doing stuff. And like my podcast, I have it set so that the podcast, it's an audio podcast. I'm changing it. It's going to be a video podcast. Video podcast is the way to go now, but it's on hiatus right now. But it was always just an audio, because us old school podcasters, we come from the thinking of audio only. That's how you do it. And so I have it where it's a static image on YouTube, but it plays the whole audio podcast. So those videos, they're all in there. And I got these occasional videos. But what I started doing last year is, with all the TikToks I do, all these like short form, I'm also putting them into shorts on YouTube. And it is bringing so much more traffic. It is building that up way quicker and better. And now people have and then I do a live stream every Saturday. So people have a variety between the live stream, the shorts, and the video. And usually they're all kind of separate groups, because people are typically interested in long form, short form, or whatever, but they're finding out about the other thing that they don't know about. So all these shorts are bringing people in and going, oh, there's a weekly live stream, this long form live stream. Interesting. Or you get the live stream viewers like, oh, she's putting up shorts now. And maybe they don't go on TikTok, so otherwise they wouldn't see them. So I've been really working some great strategies with that. So I'm just, whenever I come across anything new with YouTube, I'm all over it because I really love what I'm doing over there on YouTube. So yeah, let's do the ChatGPT. That's why I brought Todd on, because he has a really cool, interesting tip / hack, however you want to look at it. And the story is this. So, and this is why I do this, because I will come across something and go, wow, this is cool, and I got to share this with everybody. I'm not going to keep this to myself. So I was catching up on Todd's emails last night, and I saw this ChatGPT tip, and I'm like, "Ooh, what a great idea!" Then I'm like, "I'm going to need to talk about that on my live stream." Then I go to Facebook, and then there's the post version of it. I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to link to this. I'm going to show this on the screen, and maybe Todd will be available to come on and chat with us about it." So let me show you all. This is what it very, very simple. It says, if you struggle with getting ChatGPT to sound like you, steal this 5-minute trick. That's such a great hook, Todd, because
thank you.
Instantly I'm going, ooh, tell me more. So tell us about what prompted all of this. Are you finding there's a need for people needing this information because they're just not prompting ChatGPT the right way?
Yeah, totally. So, like in the beginning of the show, I said, I'm on a mission to just make becoming prolific very easy for mission-driven founders who are experts and want to get their ideas out, but they don't quite know how. And one of the big things that I've seen people, which is, I know, blow your mind, like it blew my mind, but there are more people than not that when you say, do you use ChatGPT? They said, no, it's obvious when people use ChatGPT.
Right.
Now, I actually was on a call with a CEO a couple weeks ago, and I said, I wasn't even really asking about ChatGPT and content specifically. I just was curious how they were using AI in the organization. And I said, are you guys using AI? And he said, nah, you know what, man, it's obvious. First of all, we were on the call. So let me preface it. We were on the call because he had seen all of my client work and loved the portfolio of content that we were putting out for our clients, which is all created with ChatGPT. But he didn't know that. And so we're having this conversation, and I said, "Are you guys using AI in the organization?" And he said, "No, you know what, man? I can always tell when people use ChatGPT to make stuff. So we don't mess with that." I'm like, in my head, I'm like, we're on this call because you reached out to me from seeing all this stuff that was created in ChatGPT. So for all the people who are dabbling, but they can't really get over that hump, or you and I are geeking out and diving in and playing with these things. But if you just go in and say hey, do this, and you don't know how to prompt it, or you don't know how to use it, or you're not feeding it properly, people don't realize how powerful it could be. So that's kind of where it stemmed from, when I was like, oh man, we got to get people over this idea that it has to sound robotic or cliche. There's a cliche ChatGPT, and there definitely is. It's for the people who are not, iterating the stuff that it's giving them. And so one of the easiest things, most of your viewers and listeners, I imagine, are using some kind of AI meeting assistant, right? Like Fireflies or a Fathom. Those are two really good ones. I know Fathom is free. Fireflies might have a free tier. Fireflies is the one I use. I'm on the cheap $10 a month or something. But it's when you join a meeting, and it joins the meeting with you, and it automatically transcribes your meetings. I think Zoom even does it automatically now.
They do, yeah.
And yeah. So if you're meeting on Zoom, your meetings are automatically transcribed. All you have to do is download that document, go into ChatGPT, and then the prompt here is, and you can go over to my Instagram, it's on there, or Madeline has it on the screen on my Facebook. It's all over my socials. You give the document of the transcript to ChatGPT, and you give it this thing, and you say, please analyze this meeting transcript and define my voice. And then you tell it which one is you, right? Because the transcript should be labeled on who's saying what. Say, define my voice. I'm the one labeled Todd Genetasio. My tone and style, speaking patterns, language style, etc., with a voice guide for a ghostwriter. Please make it as detailed and well-structured so that they are able to follow the guide and write exactly in my voice. Now you can take your babbling ideas, which now, Madeline, I'm going to pair with what you said you used ChatGPT for earlier. So now we have this guide that ChatGPT made. This should take you, if you have Zoom meetings with transcriptions already, like you download that. It should take you a minute to log into your account and download your most recent meeting. Take you another minute to upload that doc to ChatGPT and copy and paste this off of my socials, right? So this is a 2-minute task for you guys. This is not technical. Download the file, upload, copy and paste. Everyone watching this is capable of doing this. So now you have this guide from ChatGPT that describes your voice and style and language patterns. So now, how is that useful for putting out new content if you struggle? Well, Madeline had another great tip where she uses ChatGPT as an idea partner and batting things around and brainstorming when she's on her walk. So if you guys don't know, with the app, you can use the voice mode too, which makes it even easier. So you go out and walk your dog and you're like, hey, chat, you put it on voice mode with your headphones. You say, hey, I'm thinking about these ideas in my business and blah, blah, blah. I think this would be helpful for my clients, yada, yada. Now you just kind of babbled and brain dumped. That's not necessarily good content for anybody. But now if you say, take my voice and style guide, so you know how to write it in a regular way for me, not just me brain dumping on the dog walk, but say, use my voice and style guide and write an insightful social media post out of this idea. Bam. You just walked your dog, took your guide, and now you have a really thoughtful and helpful piece of content that you can put out. And so pairing your voice guide with brain dumps or pairing your voice guide with other things is how you can now use ChatGPT to take ideas and put them into your voice and style.
I love that. This is so smart. And so with Todd's permission, I put it over on the Skool platform. So again, as I mentioned earlier, Skool is free. If you have not, it's in the ticker at the bottom, but also just go to Skool, skool.com/Madeline Sklar, but it's in the ticker. So I'll let the ticker run it. Because what I did literally 15 minutes before we went live, because that's very me to do, is I don't have an image yet, but I just added it to the classroom. So when you're in, yeah, I got to go put it in. But when you're in our community here at Skool.com, you'll see there's Classroom at the top. This is all free. Go to the Classroom, and I just put it in here. Make ChatGPT sound like you. Click on this, and there it is. It's right here. I got the prompt in here. You can just copy and paste. And so all of this that Todd's talking about is right here for you to utilize. And then if you want more, you're going to click on this link right here. And Todd has, let me put this on the screen real quick so y'all can see. He has like, if you're like, wow, I really like this stuff I'm learning from Todd, then there's more. So you'll click on the link and it'll take you here. You can sign up for his newsletter and get more awesome content hacks that will help you. So I, of course, had to put this to action, Todd. So I'm going to pull up my ChatGPT.
Let's see it. Nice. I love it.
Oh, y'all know how I roll. That is what I do. So I'm going to walk y'all through what I did here. Not that long ago before we went live, of course. So we're going to be in my ChatGPT here. So I'm following what Todd shared in that, right? So first I say, I'm thinking, what can I pull that have a transcript up? Well, on YouTube, you're going to have a transcript of your video. So I'm like, let me take last week, what we did right here last week. Let me grab the transcript, which I went to the YouTube from last week's live stream. Below the description, it'll say transcript. You click on it, and on the right sidebar, it'll just show you the whole transcript. So I went and grabbed it. I copied and pasted it into ChatGPT. So that's what you see here. So this is, scroll, and this is good. This is way down. I got to scroll way down because it was a little over an hour long. So, and it remembers that when I give it a YouTube transcript like this, that I want its help with the YouTube description. So immediately it's trying to give me I didn't give it the next step, but It's fine. I had a feeling it was just going to go ahead and do that. So then I said, I gave it the prompt right there that Todd talked about. So there's the prompt. And then what it did was create a detailed voice and style guide. So I'm not going to read this word for word, but just look at all this information it gave me, which is just I'll put the link to this over on Skool as well. Because I'll make this public so y'all could go see what I'm showing you. But look at all this info it gave me on the style. Wow. And then at the end, it gave me an example transformation before and after. So I thought that the perfect example was to use last week's live stream because I'm just being me, I'm being real, I'm just it's a conversation. Mm-hmm. And that's how I like to put out content anyway.
Exactly.
So I thought, what better? Because I was thinking, what should I feed it? Like, what transcript should I pull? I'm like, I want it to just be the most natural conversational thing.
Well, and
which
that's also why the tip, and like you have YouTube videos to use, right? Not everybody watching this is going to have YouTube videos, and if they do, they maybe have YouTube videos that they tried scripting and maybe it was clunky, like whatever. But that's what when you have a transcription of your natural conversation. So if you have
yes.
if you have a show where you talk conversationally like Madeline does, or if you've been a guest on a podcast, that's another thing, you know, like because that another conversation, or just like I said, your meetings, like where you're talking in your natural cadence. And that's where, and then the difference too, like when we talk about like how well are you prompting ChatGPT and what are the instructions you give it. And it's like the difference between like write a social media post that like sounds friendly versus look at like the language pattern breakdowns and the examples and all the different things that it puts together. Because when you, the biggest thing for people communicating with ChatGPT is like, goes back to like the memes for creatives when it came out. It's like, if you think you're going to lose your agency clients to ChatGPT, just think about how they give you creative briefs, right? Like clients can't fill out creative briefs well. So how are they going to get ChatGPT to work well with it if they don't know how to give it proper instructions? And it's the same thing. And this is how you can get that like in-depth, multi-dimensional instruction of like, how do I really sound? Like, oh, Todd's friendly. Okay, cool. That's great. But you know, a million people sound friendly. So that's not really helpful in a description of how something's going to be written. But when it breaks down all of your style and pattern and tone and, you know, the phrases that you use consistently and the type of phrases and the stuff you don't say, or, you know, all that kind of thing gets broken down into this really in-depth guide for a ghostwriter is very different than like, write this in an authoritative voice, right? Like this
Right.
is like, this is really the juice to make things sound really well.
I love it. I mean, I think this is such helpful information for our community. I just was like, when I was reading your prompt, I'm like, this is so simple. Why did I not really think to try something like that? I mean, I've done some stuff similar,
Yeah.
but your prompt was perfect. I think it's so perfect to do. So, the way it shows it here at the end of this was giving me this example transformation before and after. So it says an original generic would be, this week's live stream covers YouTube SEO strategies and a new thumbnail. I'll explain how they can help your channel, like very polished. Whereas with, as it says, the Madeline style, I love that. Okay, y'all, this week, and this is very me. Okay, y'all, this week's live stream is packed, although I think it should say packed with great information, or it should say something else. And so just remember, it's not perfect.
Yep.
I'm showing you how this brand new thumbnail tool that claims to make viral images in one click. Plus, I've got 2 YouTube settings you have to check to help more people find your videos. Like, it just sounds more personable, which is very me, which it knows from me feeding the transcript. So I think there's a good exercise for everybody to do, is to take that prompt and play around with it and see, because, you know, it might be a little different but it's also be based on what you feed it.
Right.
Like what,
Exactly.
Otter AI is another good one
Mhm.
for transcript.
Yep.
Bez mentioned that. It's so funny, Bez, when you put that in the private chat, I'm like, I was trying to think of it because I was thinking of George, and George was really, when we used to do our Spaces chat years back, he would always turn on his Otter AI to give us a transcript version of Spaces, which was so smart of him to think to do.
I think Otter was like the first one I ever heard of back, like, you know,
It was
2019 even.
It was, but I love how Zoom has incorporated the transcription now. I think that's a great feature. A tool that I like to use is called Zealous. It's let me, I know I've got that in here somewhere. Here, it's in here. It's the last one, Zealous. I got a bit.ly link for that. So Zealous came out several years ago, and it was a tool that came out to help you get to make audiograms from your Spaces chats, but you can also get transcripts from it as well. So initially I was using it to do the audiograms. So I do a Spaces conversation like what we used to do in this time slot every Thursday for years with Twitter Smarter, #TwitterSmarter, that I started 10 years ago. This next month will be 10 years ago. I started the Twitter Smarter Twitter chat. The Twitter Smarter podcast started 10 years ago this month. I started that June 1st. Pat Flynn was my very first guest, which was amazing. Amazing. He said yes.
Yeah. He had a new book just came out this week. Go check
that out.
Yeah,
I saw that. Great guy. So with Zealous, what I've been using it for is if I have an audio or like an MP3 or a video that I do not have a transcript for, like maybe it's not a YouTube thing where I can easily get it, or somewhere else where I don't easily have an accessible transcript, I feed it into my Zealous and I instantly get a transcript. So I like that, because it's a tool I've been using for years. So it's like, so is having a tool in your toolbox that will help you transcription, but just know a workaround is always upload to your YouTube, put it on private so it's not public, and you will get a transcript. So, and that's an old trick from year before these transcription tools were even around. That was a trick everybody used to do, but now transcription tools are so common. And what was the one you liked, Todd? What was the name of that one?
Fireflies.ai is the one that I like. I like it for the API integrations, because then there's a whole nother episode, right, where I have it firing in the background doing some
I am not familiar with that one. Let me put it up on the screen so everybody can see, because I'm not familiar. I haven't even heard of that one, but that's interesting.
Yeah, because they do the best job in the follow-up, like post-meeting of like, here's the action items, here's the key insights, here's the stuff. I think they do the best job on that.
Is this the right side? Do I have the right place? I put
Fireflies.ai is the site.
Oh, Fireflies. I did Firefly.
Fireflies.ai.
Okay, let's see if we can get the right. Sorry, y'all, that's the wrong one. Nope, that's not it. How do you spell it?
Fireflies.ai.
Oh, you put fire lies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Typo.
I can't even spell today.
Don't worry.
There we go. Got it.
And it looks like they do have a free tier too, 800
cool.
800 minutes a month. So that's
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so y'all, this is Fireflies spelled correctly. This is what happens when you get old. Even with my glasses, I still can't. It's very small type at the top there, and I can't see what I'm doing. So Fireflies.ai, great. This is an excellent tip. Thank you for sharing that, especially since there's a free version. So Christopher says he's been using the free Fireflies. That's cool. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
I've used Fireflies before, but about a little over a year ago, because I just renewed, I did the 6,000 per month minute plan for Otter, because what I do is just have it, and I'm like, how am I going to record 6,000 minutes? But then every meeting I walk into, it automatically on my calendars will record it. Even my private Zoom meetings, so I don't record them, it'll record the audio and transcribe them, right? So, and like some of the master classes I'll teach in Zoom or whatever, same thing. And to your point, Todd, what Madeline was showing, the prompt, I'm gonna go in there and get my transcripts. I've got tons of them to analyze my voice. Now I've done something similar what you've done, Todd, but I've gone a different route, and that's I use a bot maker called Pickaxe, and I connect it, and it's connected to Claude.
Cool.
Yeah. So then what will happen is I've fed it like 30 pages worth of my. I went on LinkedIn, looked, you kept cutting and pasting it.
And stuff,
made a PDF and just fed it like how I write, and it analyzes my tone. So it picks up all on my emojis, and I on purpose don't talk in perfect English for emphasis. Like
I not on purpose don't talk in perfect English. So
I'm not perfect, but I'll use got instead of like I'll drive my mom crazy. Like you should say I have, or I like to use certain things.
Well, if you paid me an allowance, Mom, I'll talk the way you want me to. But...
I know. That's
a callback.
She was the English police, being a Latino mom.
I know we got like 1 minute left. Can I drop a little gem here to end the show for you, Madeline?
I don't always rush it right now.
Yeah. So now that we know we can easily get transcripts from our meetings, and then we can use it for this voice and tone thing, the next thing that I would say is that the best type of content, like you talked about, is the stuff that is helpful in meetings. You're having meetings with clients, colleagues, prospects, and you're giving advice easily off the cuff, right? Like that's my biggest thing is don't keep it stuck in your head, put it out to the world. You're replying to emails with no problem. You're on Zoom having a discussion with someone, and you're giving stuff that's tons of value and you don't even realize it. So now the other thing you could do with your transcripts, now that you have your voice defined, you could do this every time you have a meeting, say like, extract all the key insights that I gave that my ideal clients would find valuable, and it'll give you a bullet list. Then you say, use my voice and tone and the information from this transcript and turn each of these bullet points into a helpful and engaging social media post. You know, obviously the prompts themselves can get toyed with and more detail. And, you know, you and I both have those out available for people, but taking your meetings to find the gems out of your meetings now, because you have your voice, your style guide defined. And now, you know, you have, you're putting gems into these transcripts. Just get it out to the world. Don't keep them trapped behind closed doors.
You're so good at that. And every time I have you on, I remember like with the Twitter Smarter Chat, you'd always have gems like that too. Like, take all this and then you got a new lead magnet out of it. I'm like, why did I not think of that? Like, it's like brilliant. So yeah, I mean, you could also do, have it get you good lead magnets.
I like squeezing as much juice out of the fruit as I can. Yeah, that's what I used to, with the Twitter Smarter Chats. What I used to do was I would just take all my answers, all the tweets, and then I just load it into a document as a PDF and make it a download, right?
Which was so smart.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's like super smart. But now having, and this was before all this AI stuff.
That was very there. That took a lot longer than it does now.
Right. So with ChatGPT or any of the other AI tools, you can simplify that and just do it, you know, on an even grander scale.
Yeah. Totally.
Which is amazing. So you're so good at repurposing content and just getting
every
little bit out of it. This has been so much great, y'all. I think this is so helpful. I'm so glad you're able to come on, Todd, and
thanks
share.
for having me.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, this whole prompt is available over on the Skool platform, over in our community, our social media and AI shortcuts. So if you go, it's free to join. Just go over to skool.com. Let me grab that link. It's in the ticker, but I'll put it up there too. Skool, Skool.com. Go sign up. And when you're in there, go to the classroom. You'll see it right here at the top. Go in the classroom. There's no image yet. I'll put one in. I literally added this right before we went live. But here is the process that Todd shared with us. And there's the prompt right there, which is so smart. And then
tons of other stuff. Get in there, and like and being in a community of other people, share your ideas.
Absolutely.
See what happens. People, get in this Skool. It's a great community. I'm in there. I love it. I love getting the notifications of the stuff Madeline's posting. Skool.com/Madeline Sklar. Madeline doesn't like to promote herself as much as it deserves to be promoted, so I'm stepping up and I'm doing it for her.
Thank you. I know it's like we're always good at promoting everybody but ourselves. But I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun having this place where we can continue the discussions. I tell you what, I did the teaser before about the whole YouTube thing I wanted to share. Here's what we're going to do. And Bez, you'll like this. All right. We're going to save it for next week to talk about. But it's really interesting info if you utilize YouTube as part of your strategy for your marketing. I will go put it over on Skool. After we're done with this, I'm gonna go put that video that I was going to show y'all. It's a 5-minute video, because if y'all don't want to wait, I mean, we're going to talk about, like, I'll play it and we'll talk about it, which is where the magic is our discussion. But for those who are like, oh my God, I got to wait a whole week, and Bez is like, you got to tell us something, I'll go put it on Skool.
There we go.
Go sign up to the Skool platform where we hang out and continue our discussions. And I'll put it right in there. I'll put it up there in just a little bit. So always a great time hanging out with all of you. Thank you all so much for just being a part of our awesome community. Todd, I know it's so last minute. I'm like, let me just ask Todd.
I'm glad I was free.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome anytime. We have such a great and vibrant community. And for those that want to come hang out on screen with us, only those that are part of our Skool community. If you're part of our social media and AI shortcuts over on the Skool platform, that way we know who you are. Then it's like, okay, if you want to be, from time to time, come up on screen with us and be a part of this side of the discussion, you can. Just let me know. But you got to be part of Skool to do it. So that is our chat for today. I hope y'all are walking away with a lot more cool new ideas, especially thanks to Todd. So we'll be back next Thursday to do it again. Share this out. Let others know. Every Thursday, 1:00 Eastern, we come hang out. It's available for replay. Easiest replay viewing is over on my YouTube channel at Madeline Sklar. So good to see y'all. I'm so glad y'all were here.
Thank
you. Absolutely.
Hey, thank you guys. I'm gonna go down a hot air balloon rabbit hole after this. So
yeah, Barb, where should he start? What's a good link for him to go to on that?
Oh gosh, there's some. Guess what? Go to the Skool community, and I will tell you all about it.
There we go.
Oh,
everything leads over to Skool.
Yeah, I'll do it that way because.
All right.
I like
We
it.
could be here another hour.
I know.
But I
Yeah.
can tell you that I'm the lady that put balloonfiesta.com on the internet.
Wow.
So that one-
Balloonfiesta.com. All right, there we
Right.
go.
What was that?
Absolutely.
So okay.
Balloonfiesta.com is the commercial side of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, and I also registered its very first domain, aibf.org. And I also put its very first official presence online.
Wow.
And I am the
Mm.
Very cool.
only official diva of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
Wow.
People are
Very
battling
cool.
for that title too, so you earned it.
That is so awesome. Barb.
I still have that domain. It's-
Barb,
Wow.
when I
I'm
go,
not going to tell you we were sober when we got it.
when I make it over to Albuquerque, because I'm gonna go visit you. Okay. So
Oh, you have to warn me before you come.
okay, I will. Of
Most
course I
We'll be
will.
hot air ballooning out of there.
Yeah, I'll be
I
coming.
used to, back in the early 90s, when I put Balloon Fiesta up, the very first one was 94. And, I had, because that's how I met Steve Jobs. Actually,
wow.
Just met this guy, Steve Jobs.
Right. He drove up to my house in his Winnebago and calls me on the phone and says he's outside. Can he come in?
I won't do
No.
that.
Wow.
No kidding. And I have evidence. I have
Wow.
evidence of all kind. I'm like, my home is like a museum. But then you got to imagine that it's a baby boomer. Enough said. Come to Madeline's Skool group.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
Well, y'all go over to the Skool platform. Come hang out with us in there. We'll be back next Thursday to do this all over again.
Yeah.
Thanks. Great to see y'all.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. See you
Bye.
next
Bye, guys.
time.